Dead by Daylight is currently not in the best spot. I think most people could agree. Um, uh, Killers right now are suffering tremendously. I know I've been suffering. I mostly play Ghostface, or used to, um, and whatnot. And just I've noticed a lot of my games are incredibly hard. Like they are insanely difficult, and it's due to a lot of the new current things with just how fast generators go and the amount of pallets now, which is the biggest thing right now. That's really affected a lot of killers in a very negative manner. uh it just also healing speeds were just insane. It still are, I guess. I mean, like, you can, yeah, I mean, if you really wanted to, you could pop on like maybe 3 to 4 perks and unhook somebody and then basically insta heal them right off hook. It's wild, um but what I want to talk about is how I would fix it. Right, I have, I think a relatively good idea when it comes to fixing it. And whatnot. What behavior is focusing on right now is the quote unquote tunneling and slugging, right, and how it's a big issue, right. Despite your views on that, I think everybody could collectively agree it is a boring play style to slug and or to tunnel people. Me as a killer, I don't like tunneling people. I tunnel people, yes, but I don't like to. And the only time that I really do that is if somebody gets unhooked in front of me. I might as well go for the person unhooked, and it's not even like, oh, I'm walking back to the hook to patrol it, or I'm camping the hook or anything like that. Like, sometimes survivors will just blatantly just run up and unhook their teammate right in front of me. Like, that's stupid. Why would you do that? I'm just going to go for that person again. Right. I don't do it all the time, but sometimes, if I'm feeling pressured to, then I will. And that's the key thing when it comes to tunneling and slugging. Pressure. I really want to harp on that because it, as a killer, you want to, as a killer or survivor, right? You want to create a sort of pressure on the opponent, right? As killer, you want to create enough pressure to where survivors are struggling to, get resets, to crank gens out and stuff like that. And as killer, it has become increasingly harder to create that pressure because of the amount of error that is allowed for survivors to have. Especially now with this pallet density update, to where survivors can, just mess up so much. They can just make so many mistakes, and it does not matter because, uh, uh because you still get punished whether you play incredibly well or not. Right? Most of the pressure is put on the killer because the gens move too fast. It's very common in my games, and I'm sure in other people's games, where you get done with your first chase and like 1 to 2 gens have already popped, right? Which I guess one could pop if you have 3 survivors on it, or but even then, like, getting done with your first chase, even if it's incredibly quick and just 2 gens are popped right off the bat, now it's even harder to end that first chase because there's so many pallets around that even if you do get a hit in, you window vault, pallet, another window vault, another pallet, and then you finally get a hit, and then what do you know? 2 more gens are done. You know, um, and so my proposal is make gens take longer, but not just as a flat like time thing, because that's boring. Right, I would say for the survivors. I think survivors, are I'm very bored when I play Survivor, right? Unless I'm playing with other people. But other than that, I don't play Survivor. Um, I usually play with my girlfriend or something like that. But um, I find Survivor just to be very boring, and unless like I'm looping, then I'm more engaged. But as you can see in this footage here, sitting on a gen, watching this progress bar go up, not really that fun. And so what I would do is I would make the gens take longer, but it wouldn't be just a flat number thing. Um, I would add different kinds of gens. So pretty much how it would work is all the gens basically are now different kinds of gens. You would have diesel generators, and then you would have broken generators, right? And so how these would work is for diesel generators, I'm sure everybody who's played through the Blood Moon event remembers the blood generators, right? And so diesel gens would work similar to that. The only caveat is that with the diesel generators is they can be repaired normally, but at a slower rate. And if you go and you get diesel for them, it would repair them faster, right? And it would still suffer from sort of the same thing to where, like, if a killer damaged it, it would regress quicker as well. But adding this would, I feel, make it more engaging for the survivors, right? Because it's not just that the generator takes slower, right? But it's also you are interacting with in-game elements to be more efficient, right? It would allow for more team coordination to be a bigger thing. At the end of the day, survivors should be working as a team, right? And also implementing the something similar to the blood generators, right? Would be just another factor of trying to avoid the killer, right? You have now your jerry can, and you now are trying to avoid the killer, because if the killer finds you, then you kind of screw your team over a bit. It's not necessarily your fault, but it slows down the game more, right? Adding pressure onto the survivors, as a killer should, right? The survivors should want to avoid the killer, not directly engage with them. Obviously, if you're a good looper and stuff like that, then maybe you do want to be chased, and that's where you're most engaged and that's what you enjoy. By all means, that should still be viable. But it would make other survivors want to avoid the killer. It brings back that presence that the killer should have. The killer should have a presence for the survivors. Not like bully squads should not be a thing. Like, let's be real. Like, why should some survivors feel encouraged to bully the killer? The killer has no presence whatsoever, and it's frustrating, right? Especially if you're playing a lower tier killer, right? Like Ghostface, especially now. There's so much. Like, I haven't played the game pretty like consistently in a while, just because it's been a real struggle to play as killer, my favorite role, the whole reason I came to the game. It's been an immense struggle, and it's not so much that I am bad at the game. I'm not gonna say I'm great, but I'm decent. I am decent at the game. And for it to feel like any little mistake just throws the game immediately, whilst all survivors have second chances and, you know, so many things that allow them to make mistakes without any sort of actual punishment coming from that, is very frustrating, right? And so implementing a system sort of like this, where gens do take longer, but you can make them go by faster with by interacting with in-game objects, right? Would make you want to avoid the killer. It gives killer that presence again, right? As the killer should have. The killer ultimately should have a presence on the survivors that makes them not want to engage with the killer. Not in a toxic way, but in a way, a fear almost, right? You should feel fearful when the killer is on you, because there should be something. There should be uh, a punishment for it, right? Not so much that it completely screws the game over for survivors. I'm not saying killers should be overpowered, but I'm saying killers should be a power role. That's what they should be. They are the one in the 1 versus 4, and therefore they should be the power role. They are the killer. They are meant to be feared. They are meant to have this presence on the survivors that makes them want to coordinate together to want to coordinate together, so that way they avoid the killer, right? Anyways, diesel generators, they can be repaired like normal generators, but you can use diesel fuel to speed up the time that it takes. It would basically progress the bar normally, and whatnot. And only like one survivor can be filling it with diesel at once, right? So you can't stack like 3 survivors with diesel gens and then just with diesel cans and just fill up that bar like crazy. It would be like 1 survivor at a time, right? But you can have the 3 other survivors working on the gen as well, and that would make it progress pretty significantly, right? And then the other generators, the broken ones, right? So broken generators sort of function the same as diesel generators, except you get parts from, it would be like a scrap box or something like that, that you could find on the map, right? And you would go open the box, you could grab a piece of scrap from it, bring it back to the broken generator, and it gives you a boost on the generator repair speed. So it's not like brand new part, the toolbox add-on, to where like it removes the max amount, right? But it increases your generator repair speed on that gen specifically. And if the killer comes and breaks the gen, that then it will basically remove that bonus and regress it. But it would regress at a slower rate than a diesel gen, because they function differently, and that's how it makes sense in my head, right? But it's the same thing. The survivor is interacting more with the environment. It makes the killer have a presence. You get the part, and then you hear the killer terror radius, and you're like, well, if I go down, I drop this, And I would also make it to where the killer themselves could do the same thing that they do in the Blood Moon event, where they like stomp the diesel can and it goes away. I would have it like do the same thing with the jerry can and also the part, except for the part, it doesn't go away. It just returns back to the box that you got it from. And like I said, this would also just make teamwork a more thing, like a bigger thing, right? You coordinate with your team properly, be like, okay, I'm gonna go get this, you work on this gen, and then and I feel like that addresses the gen speed issue, because gen speeds is really what is making killers feel more inclined to tunnel into slug, because you get, like I said, you get done with 1 chase and 2 gens have already popped, and you're like, well, shit, I got to get somebody out, so that way I can make it somewhat easier for me. I don't feel like the killers should be stressed, right? That is an important thing, right? The killers should feel like they have to actually engage with the game in order to win. But I don't think killers should feel like they are neutered, and I don't feel like it's okay for the killers to feel completely smothered in just a sweaty gameplay, while survivors can kind of willy-nilly just drop pallets literally just around every corner. I don't feel like that is fair. Ultimately, it's an asymmetrical game, and it's going to be unfair, but the 1 versus the other 4, that 1 should be stronger than the other 4. Otherwise, you as the killer might as well help them do the gens. Because, oh my god, do I feel like I suffer whenever I play some killers. I like, don't get me wrong, I love killer and I love this game, but the way that they are going about the issues just is not, it's not going to help. Not at all. If you were just going to make the killer feel even weaker than they already feel, you were just going to drive them away. That is all you're going to do. You're not going to help. You're not going to stop the issue that is currently in the game. It will not help. You will just make it worse. And you will make it to the point that people will leave. I've left. I love the game, and I hop on it like every so once in a while. I'll like hop on it like maybe once a week, play 2 games, and then suffer through those games and then leave. Right? That's how I've been playing. I used to play this game every single day. I used to play it every fucking day for hours. And I enjoyed it. And it wasn't so much because I felt like I was crazy powerful and that I knew that I could win, because Killer was super easy. It was because it was challenging, but it felt fair. And right now, it does not. It does not feel fair, and it does not make me, happy playing the game. It feels like it is just a ton of stress that is unnecessary. I don't feel like I'm rewarded for playing well. And I know I am playing well. That's the thing, is I know I'm playing really well, but just one mistake costs me my entire game. And survivors just don't have that, right? And I'm not saying they should. I'm saying that the killer should not feel like they are weaker than the survivors. The killer should feel like they have a presence, that they have fear. The game should reward good gameplay. Survivors should be rewarded for being coordinated with their team and for being efficient. Not because they know that they have pallets around every corner, and it doesn't matter as long as they're not facing Blight or Nurse or anybody that can really hit through pallets. They know that they're okay. And if you are a survivor who thinks that all I'm saying is just bullshit, play Trapper. Play Trapper. Play a couple of games of Trapper. You win some? Good. Keep going. Keep going. And then once you hit those higher MMRs, watch how quickly you crumble. Watch how difficult it actually fucking gets. Because I'm playing games where I'm consistently hitting at least 2 P100s in my lobbies. Right? And no, I'm not on the highest MMR. I'm not insanely cracked, right? You can see me here missing my pyramid headshot. I'm not a crazy cracked fucking killer. I'm not a Blight or a Wesker who can immediately hit like a 90-degree flick around a corner, but I know I am good enough to where what I am feeling is the feeling that I am being unfairly, put against other people. It feels unfair, right? And so that's why I've stopped playing the game as much as I used to. I used to play the game every day, and now I go to it, I open the game up, and I'm like, do I really want to sit through like a 10-minute queue just to enter a game, lose in 5 minutes, then get bagged right at the door because I am quote unquote not good at the game? Like, why would I put myself through that? I've been playing other games, Anyways, TLDR. I would say to address the problem with slugging and tunneling is not through punishing the killer for these things, because there are times where it has to happen, right? There are times where it is necessary. Make it to where the killer feels less inclined to do so by making them feel less pressured to do so. DBD should be a time management and resource management game. It should not be thousands of pallets and gen speeds that are so fast that within my first chase, I have 2 gens already gone. So, my pitch, change how gens work. Make 2 different types of gens, the diesel generators and the broken ones, right? And make it to where survivors can interact with their environment to make them go by faster, right? They can still be repaired normally, but it's not as efficient. So if you coordinate with your team and play efficiently, you can get the gens done in a reasonable amount of time without making the killer feel like they have to tunnel somebody out, without making the killer feel like they have to slug at certain points in time. I mean, slugging is its own separate issue. It kind of depends on the situation. But tunneling happens because the killer feels like they do not have time to waste. Anyways, that is it. That is all. I hope you have a wonderful day, whoever you are, and I hope that behavior actually listens, at least does something. Listen to your community. You have, yes, killer is not the main player base, but they are probably one of the most important parts of the player base, considering the fact that if you don't have killers, you don't have a game. Both sides are important, and both sides should be happy, yes, but you should also understand that the majority of your player base is mostly one side. Change up your surveys a bit. Put in surveys in the game after a match that have questions for both killer and survivor. What I would do is I would make it to where my surveys would keep track of how much time you have on each side, right? And then with that being said, it would keep track of which time, and then you could get a better, more accurate analysis of who is answering and where the answer is coming from. You know? Also, just fucking think about how your changes are affecting both sides. That too. Use fucking common sense. If survivors can abuse something, some of them probably will, especially bully squads. Like, use fucking common sense. Please, behavior. Anyways, yeah, that's it. I'm done now. Have a wonderful day, whoever you are. And, yeah.